Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back to Married at First Sight Australia. We are now on series 11 and episode 27. Before we get into this episode, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button, comment, share, do whatever it is that you do, because I am on the road to 1K. Right, we know that within this episode, feedback week is still continuing. Lauren is having to leave the experiment for a little bit of time because she has a medical issue. There's a blood clot in her shoulder and the surgeon wants to operate, so she is leaving Jono behind. So we get to Cassandra and Tristan, and they write an honest and open letter to Jade and Ridge. Right, Tristan doesn't believe that Ridge is mature enough for Jade, so decides to set Ridge a task in terms that he has to do cooking, housework, this, that and the other. And within that, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, you kind of just basically push Jade into a box that, you know, as she's the woman, she's doing all of this for her man at the end of the day. Because all I can say is that when the camera goes to their room and then two are talking, their room is not tidy. So I don't think either one of them are doing the cleaning in that bitch. So Ridge and Jade are completely smitten by each other. So Sarah comes back to the room after, she decided to have that space to herself. And she talks to Tim about the anxiety that she's feeling at the moment. I am going to say, as I said in my previous episode, that I think Jaden went a little bit too hard and was too much on his moralistic freaking soapbox in order to get one over on Sarah in the belief that he is protecting Tim. I think Jaden's own emotions and own thoughts in regards to the experience that he had with his ex when she cheated on him came to the forefront, more so than him saying he's doing it to protect Tim at the end of the day. Tim is a grown-ass man. Tim is going to make the decisions that he wants to make when it comes to Sarah at the end of the day. So if Tim is going to allow for Sarah to make it up to him and be open for that, then Jada needs to accept Tim's decisions. Okay, that's what he needs to do. He shouldn't have come at Sarah in the way that he come at Sarah, because quite frankly, if it had been me, he would have got verbal lashing. That's all I'm going to say. I wouldn't have been able to sit quiet with that. He would have got a verbal lashing, because I'm like, there's no way you're coming at me sideways like that. Yes, I'll hold my hands up and say, you know what, I've done something wrong, but you ain't coming at me sideways in that manner. You ain't doing it to me. Cinder and Tim were to help Andrea and Richard to try and reconnect with each other. So basically what the task that they've given them is for them to get dressed in their wedding regalia and go back to where they had their wedding and recreate their vows with each other to get that feeling back, which was what they were happy to do. At the end of the day, Richard is very matey. Richard is a very matey man. Richard is quite obtuse in his thinking and doesn't necessarily listen to what it is that Andrea is saying to him. But then on the flip side, Andrea doesn't listen to what it is that Richard's saying, and Andrea can become very, very insulting when she's trying to speak to Richard to get her voice heard, because then she can kind of speak to Richard like he's a motherfucking child at the end of the day, which isn't going to bode well for any type of adult person, any generation in the slightest at the end of the day. What they needed to do is literally sit down properly and discuss this crap. Basically, if they had couples therapy on this show, these two would have been prime candidates for it, but they don't. They literally just watch these people struggle and try and strive with each other, flapping in the wind like flipping fish, floundering about, and don't actually put in the services that and support that they would need in order to build those blocks in terms of their foundation to work through the issues that they're working through. They just leave them to get on with it, which is kind of unfair at the end of the day. It really is. So Richard and Andrea did go and do that, and actually they kind of did connect. They connected a lot better. They got back into the memories of how they were when they first met, and it looked like, okay, now they're going to start to make a forward plan in regards to how things go now, because it looks like they're back on this path that they should have been on. All I can say is Ridge, when I get to Ridge, comes in and throws a major spanner in the works and sets everything back 10 years. Do you know what I mean? So there's now a task in terms of a couple exchange. So Jade goes to meet Jack. Jack will love that because Jade is his type fully. And Tori goes to meet Jaden. And I'm like, oh, Tori, you better have your thinking head on and your banter mouth quick for Jaden, because at the end of the day, you know Jaden, you know what Jaden thinks about you and Jack. You know what Jaden thinks about you and Jack. So with all the shit that Jaden's going to pour onto you, you better be quick and snappy in your answers. Right off the bat, as soon as Tori sat down and her and Jaden got the niceties over, Jaden was in like an arrow to the motherfucking heart. He was like, he's not buying the relationship of Tori and Jack. Jack is doing a lot of things and he believes that Tori just turns around and brush it under the rug. Tori, of course, totally disagrees with his estimation of their relationship. Tori basically is saying that Jack is her equal at the end of the day. And I'm just like, how many times can this man show you how much of a misogynistic arsehole and an insulting prick he is? How many times can he keep showing you this before you actually believe it? So we shall move on. As I keep saying, they need to leave this girl to her man. She has said already, this is her man. This is who she wants. This is who she's going to live with. She ain't going to live with none of you lot at the end of the day when she makes this decision, or if she makes the decision to stay with this man. So leave her be to her decision. Make her get what she needs to out of it, because obviously she thinks everybody else within that experiment are not seeing what she's seeing when it comes to Jack. We shall leave it there and move on. So we see Jade and Jack, and already Jack is with the flirt. Jack is with the banter. I don't see him do the flirt and the banter with Tori the way he did with Jade, because as he said in his VC that Jade was his type, and as I said previously, when Jade and Ridge were getting married, I said 2-2s, Jack would find Jade very much attractive because he is definitely her type. And now we get to see the interaction of how Jack is when he sees a woman that is his type and he could have sexual chemistry with, because the banter was just like boom, 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 boom with Jack. That's the most I've seen this man smile with another woman. He was on top tier, playing all coy, laughing, giggling. Oh, Jade, yeah, but Jade came in with the questions. Jade came in with the questions, and again, Jack likes to talk outside of his marriage, but don't tell Tori what the fuck he's saying outside of their marriage when it comes to his attraction to Tori. And Jade asked Jack, so have you and Tori basically done you know, the horizontal mambo? Jack's bloody response was getting hella flirty with Jade, and turned around and he said to Jade that, you know, if we do, you will be the first to know. I'm like, no, he hasn't, Jade. Like, he really hasn't. So Jack is saying the more that he has to talk about this situation is the more strained it gets. And she turns around and Jade says, well, what's stopping you actually from having that full-on connection with Tori? Jade basically brings up the point, because we didn't know this, I could have done without knowing this, that Tori goes to bed with nothing on at all, and Jack is still not hitting skins with this woman, still not. And I'm just like, yeah, because he don't want her. This man, if this woman If what Jade said is true and this woman, Tori, is going to bed naked with her husband and he ain't trying to grope her, hit skins, this, that and the other, because there's a reason why Tori is going to bed naked with this man. There's a reason why women do that shit with their men, do you know what I mean? Or with the partners or with who they're with. There's a reason why. It's a hidden message that, you know what, I'm up for whatever. And Jack still ain't hit that. Jack still ain't touched that. There's a problem. There's an absolute problem. So Jane turned around to him and said that she doesn't understand the situation. And I'm like, that's all of us, Jade, who are on the outside looking in. We're watching this on our TV screens. We don't understand the shit show right now that is Tori and Jack. But hey ho. Do you think Jack really answered that question? No, he did not. So Jack was trying to play it off as though him and Tori are not in a situationship. So Jade basically said, well, actually you are. That's what you're in. You're in a situationship. Jack is trying to play it off as though they're in a healthy relationship. I don't think they're in a healthy relationship at all. But hey ho, the delusional will delusion. He says there's been little chance to be romantic. And I'm like, is that your answer, Jack? Is that your answer? Because at the end of the day, all these other couples up in here have gone out, dated, took their partners out, done X, Y, and Z, and you're telling me there's no avenue for you to be romantic with Tori? I know this man is talking out his pinky poo, his ass. He's talking way out of it. So I kind of like throughout this back and forth that Jade is literally just shutting down his bullshit like she don't believe it in the slightest. I think Jack was kind of caught off guard because he was thinking that, you know, even though Jade is beautiful to look at and she's a beautiful person, he was not thinking that there would be this hardcore exterior that would come out and literally put him on the spot. From that, it flips back to Jaden and Tori, and Jaden is basically saying to Tori that when Jack is around, you are hella quiet. Tori is hella quiet, and Tori doesn't put in no consequences or nothing is said to Jack. And as again, I will say, I believe that Tori is one of these people where she will continually show a united front in all of the faces of these naysayers, because she doesn't want people to know her business or the truth about the relationship between her and Jack. If she's pissed, she will allow that being pissed to be shown, but she will pull Jack to task when they're in private. That's how I believe Tori is at the end of the day. But as I've already said, a situation that Jack has brought to the forefront where Tori should have, in essence, opened her mouth. Like seriously opened her mouth and shared her thoughts on that subject, but she didn't. So Tori says that she is defending Jack and she knows that Jack is a good person. So basically in that, Tori is saying that she's defending the Jack that she knows, the Jack that she sees behind closed doors, not this Jack that is being portrayed to everybody else. What Tori fails to realize is that the Jack that's being portrayed to everybody else and what Jack does to with and says to everybody else is Jack too. You know, you can't separate the two. They're one and the same at the end of the day. So the freaking point that she was making was mute at the end of the day. As I said, they both deserve each other. They both definitely deserve each other. So then we go back to Jack and Jade, even though he calls her Juicy Jade, and that's what he says to her face. And I'm like, okay, guy, slow your roll, wind your neck in. You are married, all right? And so is Jade, and she's very much happy with her husband, Rich. Remember Rich, who she's married to. She then asked Jack, and this is a £100 million question, yeah. She asked Jack, does he think he will feel different if he was matched to someone who he had that instant sexual connection with or was similar to him? And he answered straight away, yeah. Like, yeah. So he would definitely have had sex a lot quicker, as I've already said throughout my episodes, if he was interested in that person. But he doesn't seem to realise that him saying that literally puts Tori on the back burner because you have no sexual chemistry or sexual attraction to your wife. But if you did, you'd have jumped her bones long time ago, probably on the honeymoon. I told you, Jack, sometimes I think Jack does not realise what the fuck he says to people, like seriously, or he says it, I don't know if he tries to say it in shock value, but I think with Jade, he's being literally open and honest, and he's been saying this for quite some time, that he is not attracted to his wife in the slightest at all. But Tori is sitting there singing this man's praises from here to the wazoo. I then asked a blinder of a question and asked Jack, would it always be Tori? And Jack turns around and says that Tori is the greatest thing ever. But he said no. But isn't this the woman he told to Lauren that he could see a future with out of this experiment, and also have children with and create a family with? This is why I say they got to leave this girl and this man to their own devices, because they've created this little world of delusional for themselves. They're both deluded. And yeah, yeah. I'm seriously gonna move on. I'm gonna move on because I just can't with these two. So Tori is literally and basically saying that she believes that she's in a perfect relationship with Jack. Their relationship is perfect, and I'm like, it's not perfect, because this man is lying to you in your face. He's saying all these stuff with other people, but he's lying to you in your face directly, and everybody's trying to tell Tori, but she's not taking it. She's not, and I've said there's only so much that you can do to try and lead a horse to water to make it drink. If it ain't gonna do it, you need to leave it be, and it will do it in its own time. And the same analogy comes to Tori and Jack. Leave them to it, like seriously. So then we get Jade and Reach. They have another task, and they have questions for Lucinda and Tim. When Tim finds out that, you know, Jade and Reach will be doing the questions and asking X, Y, and Z, Tim was not feeling it at all. As I said, Tim is very long in the tooth. He does not believe any of these youngsters will be able to teach him anything. But what happens is Reach ends up opening up his mouth and saying something to Tim and Lucinda that Jack has said to him, which was very disparaging about the relationship, which in turn gets Tim and Lucinda in this space where they become quite very fucking petty. They become petty as hell. I was here for it. That's all I'm going to say, is I was here for it. So literally what Tim and Lucinda decided to do was anonymously write a letter to Jack and Tori, yeah, with a task on it. So basically these letters set out all the issues that have been brought to the forefront and presented, yeah. And then the task was that Tori and Jack should have a three-way conversation with Jack's ex, who made the article. Now, me myself, I thought that was actually a good idea, because if I was in this relationship with this guy and this shit came up, then I will be turning to my husband and saying, do you know what? Let us both talk to this girl to see what's what and why this has come about, because I want to know the mettle of the man that I've just literally made vows with. At the end of the day, if that shit was to come out, it wouldn't have made me feel any type of way to talk to this woman. But this shit angered the fuck out of Jack and Tori. More so Tori. Tori was the most angered, and this is where I said, you know what, truth hurts. Truth absolutely hurts. But that was coming towards the end, and then I forgot about the fact that, you know, Andrea and Ridge also had a chat because, you know, Jade had gone and spoke to Jack. Andrea and Ridge went and spoke to Andrea. Now, Ridge, God bless him, like seriously, God bless him, literally would not let Andrea speak, but kept on digging at Andrea in terms of Andrea's the one that wears the pants. She believes that Richard isn't listening to her. Richard isn't doing this. Richard isn't doing that. All these negatives. So Andrea's literally taken that on board and believed that actually if Ridge is seeing this on the outside looking in, then it must be true. So then she takes that back to Richard, and I'm like, in all honesty, my girl, think for yourself. Like, it wasn't fair for Ridge to put that shit upon Andrea at the end of the day, because he had a hand in the situation that did occur between them. Because even though Andrea has been trying to tell Richard exactly what it is that she's feeling, yes, I'll admit he hasn't been listening. He hasn't been listening. Both of them have been proper butting heads at the end of the day. But Ridge just went in when there was no reason to go in at the end of the day, and he just like threw a whole fucking grenade under all of that and blew it the fuck wide open. That is where I'm going to say the episode ended. And I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode. As I always say, my lovely lot, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so you know I'm on and doing videos. As I say, comment, share, do what it is that you do, you lovely people. And I am, as I'll keep saying, on the road to 1K. But I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode. And peace out.